Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today let's answer the question, where do you get the time? Okay, so today I want to respond to a comment that came in last week from G. Nikhil Vijay Raj, who said, I still wonder where the hell do you get the time to make apps as well as maintaining a constant growing YouTube channel of this scale. Of this scale? Right? I really appreciate it. That's a really nice comment. I appreciate that. It makes me sound like I'm super productive, like I've got so much free time on my hands, which I don't. The truth is I don't really have time to make videos every day, right? But nobody does. You just have to make it. I decided when I started doing it that if it's going to work, I have to make it important because it's not going to be important to anybody else but to me. So I want to make sure that whatever happens, we're not going to miss the video each day. Right? You see, I find that when you try to have time for something that you want to do, a lot of times you have to defend that time because people will try to take it from you. See, I can remember when I was a permanent employee, I was working at a job as a software developer, actually several jobs as a software developer and as a contractor. For a while, my life was in a rut, and I would get up in the morning and I would go to work and I would get there like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. If it was London, I'd have like a 2-hour commute, so I'd have to get up early, get on the train, go into London, and I'd work through the day. A lot of times I'll have lunch at my desk, and then at the end of the day, I never left at 5. There was always something going on, or a manager that was making me feel guilty into staying later, so I would stay later. I never left before 6 o'clock, sometimes. And other times I was there at 7, 8 o'clock at night. As a software developer, there's always some problem, and everyone wants to rope you into it. So, that was a whole day. And if you have small children, you know what this is like because you get home and your kids want to spend time with you. Of course they do. You're their dad. So there was all this. So you go home, you can't just go home and say, well, I got to work on the computer and do my own thing. So I would spend time with family, and then I would maybe watch a bit of television, go to bed, wake up the next morning and do the same thing again, Monday to Friday. And on weekends, it was mow the lawn, iron clothes, catch up on the things you didn't get done during the week. Right? For a while, I started to get really depressed about this. I started thinking, is this just what my life's going to be like now? Is this what it's going to be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And the scariest thing is when you see other people who are 10 years older than you and they're doing the exact same thing, you think, this really could be what I'm doing 10 years from now. And it was really scary. So I started waking up an hour earlier every day. I read this book, and so I started waking up at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. So I had this 1 hour which didn't belong to anybody else but me, right? It was crazy. It's sad, really, that you think of your entire day. I had this 1 hour, and it wasn't even a good hour. It was the hour that you're all grumpy because you just woke up. It's the hour you're like, oh, geez, you wake up, you have a cup of coffee, get on with your work. And by the time you snap out of it, it's like time to get ready for work anyway. So then I started waking up at 4 o'clock, and for a while I experimented with getting up at 3 o'clock, but that was just too much. I couldn't do it. It was just, I think psychologically I didn't have it in me. But for about 15 years, I would get up about 4 or 4:30 every morning, and I would get loads done before I ever went into work. Right? And sometimes I would have people find out, like I would have employers or managers, especially if it's a small company, the owner of the company would find out that I got up this early because I sent him an email or something like that, and he would say, well, why are you up so early? And I said, well, I've got, I do this because I get up early so I have some time to myself. And they'll say, well, why don't you just come into the office a bit earlier? Because then we could have our meeting earlier in the day, and that would be better for me. I was like, no, finally I have to put my foot down. No, this time belongs to me. If I have to choose between going into the office and having a meeting extra early or staying in bed, I'd rather just stay in bed. But I got out of bed and I stole these hours from my own sleep, and this time belongs to me. And this is the first time I ever got really defensive about it. It's like the rest of the world could take the other 22 hours of the day, but these 2 hours belong to me. Right? And this is the time where I started doing the apps. We started building Overpass. So much was done in those 2 hours of the morning because everything else belonged to everyone else. I mean, if you work for an employer, you know what this is like sometimes. It's even the way they talk to you. Like, I'll tell you what, as a gift to you, we'll give you the day off. As a gift to you, how about I work for you today? That's the way that it should work. But it's like, no, I'll tell you what, Eric, why don't you take the day off, right? So, and sometimes that's what you feel like, right? And sometimes when you do take some time off to yourself, you feel guilty. But for some reason, in those early morning hours, I didn't. Now that I run Overpass and we have clients, it's a lot easier because while I went from, I've talked about this before, while I went from having one boss to having several bosses, which may be a strategic misstep on my part, none of those clients have full control of my schedule. So I get to say what's important and what's not. And one of the things is I want this time for doing the videos. This is my time. This is my time to talk to you every day. Right? I'm going to make this important. Right? I don't care if it's logical or not. I don't care if there's other things that are more urgent. This is the time that I'm going to set aside that we're going to talk about this kind of stuff. So the channel, while it may not be important to anybody else, it's important to me. Right? So if you've ever read The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, which is a very good book, you read about it in a lot of other books, right? He talks about the resistance. So even though now when I don't have anybody else saying, are you sure you should be doing this? Shouldn't you be doing something else? There's still the voice inside my head that says, surely nobody would mind if I missed the video today or tomorrow, or maybe I should just stop doing it. Maybe I should work on this other thing then, because logically that thing would pay more, whatever. And then the other part of me has to jump in and say, no, we're not having this conversation. We are going to work on the thing that you want to work on. We're going to trust the process. We're going to do this video each day because you said you would and because you like to do it, right? I'm not going to feel guilty about this anymore. And this is why I love indie app developers, because you guys go through the same thing. You're working on projects which may or may not work. You're taking time to work on something that other people may not believe in, but you have to believe in it, even though logically there may not be any reason to do it. I'll tell you what, it is easier doing a video knowing that 200 people, so about average of 200 to 300 people watch the videos these days, right? It's easier to do it like that than it was doing it when 10 people watched it. We had 10 views on a video to do the video, and it had 10 views and 5 of them were you and the other 5 were like your family, right? That's hard. I admire people who start their own YouTube channels now, or start their own apps now, or someone who goes out and goes for a run when it's their first time because everybody else doubts them, and even that internal voice, they're starting to doubt themselves. Is this even worth doing it? But you have to trust the process. If you're working, if you have it, we all have an app out there that does not do very well, and we need to do a little bit of work on it. But is it worth the time to put into it? Right? Sometimes you just have to be stubborn and have faith and work on that thing. And that's what we have to do with the channel too, right? To answer your question, I don't get time to work on the YouTube channel. I make the time. I fight for the time. I defend the time. There's always somebody else who's willing to take that time away from you if you don't say, this is important to me, even though it's based on faith and me being stubborn, this is important and I'm going to do it. So to all of you app developers out there who are working on something that other people don't believe in, but you're putting the time into it, the time where you don't even know if it's going to work, but you have faith and you are going to trust the process, you're going to do what you need to do, and you're going to make that app live, and you're going to batter against the gates until they give. I salute you. I think it's the best thing ever, and I'm glad you guys are here because it makes me feel less alone. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. That is it for today. I will talk to you again tomorrow.